So we now have a proper zone system that is controlled by our doors. And we don't really have a proper way to use our doors. Well, we do, but we don't have any sort of point system set up in order to be able to actually earn the points and spend them on the door. So that would be the kind of almost the final step in completing our door. The only other thing I would want to do is once the door is used, I want to remove the ability to use it again. So in case someone manages to find like a little bit of a glitchy spot in the map where they can access the door, I don't want them to even have that option at all. So let's begin. In order to have a point system, we need a way to earn some points. So in order to do that is I'm going to make just a temporary kind of way to quote unquote shoot that is going to be a simple line trace that, hits a zombie. And that's going to be kind of the start of our weapon system, so to speak. So we're going to shoot by just sending a line trace, hits the zombie, and we're going to earn points that way. So hopefully within the next 2 videos, we will have that basic kind of setup good to go. Then we can finish our door and then move on to at least getting at a good point on our weapon system. So to begin, let's head to our Nazi zombie character. Well, actually our character base.h, and we have this function on fire. And that's what currently controls all of that. So what I want to do is I want to make this overridable. I'm going to change it to a virtual void. I'm going to go over here to Nazi zombie character.h, and under protected, let's do virtual void on fire override. And then I'm just gonna create the definition in our CPP. So let's print out a log and see if it runs. I'm gonna close the editor real quick, as well as minimize our line trace function. And I'm actually going to minimize our interact related stuff as well. Keep it clean. Okay, let's reopen the editor and confirm that it says shooting weapon when we do it. All right, so I'm left clicking and it's saying shooting weapon. So now what we need to do is we need to perform a line trace. So in order to do that, I'm going to copy our current setup just like so. And I'm actually going to, copy everything, including, just everything related to just the line trace, because we're going to be doing that again. So instead of the distance being the interaction range, I want to change this to, let's just do 2000, like so. And then what we're going to do is we want to try to cast to the zombie. So we need to include the zombie class. So what we're going to do, include World of War public zombie base.h. Now what we can do is, let's see, does this return anything? Oh, come on, IntelliSense. There we go. So returns true if any hit is found. So I'm actually going to do an if. So if a hit was found, then we'll go ahead and run through the rest. So now we can do if. Obviously a hit was found, so we can go ahead and make the attempt to cast. So a zombie base zombie equals, let's see, what do we call it? Hit result dot get actor, but we want to cast this. So we're going to do a cast. So cast to a zombie base. And what we're casting is the hit result. Like so. I highly disagree. All right, I think that's just IntelliSense yet again. So I'm going to print out the log. Zombie hit. Print out zombie. Get name. Okay, so it's my include. Word at war, public, Nazi zombie, then zombie base. So that was why. So now I want to go ahead and compile and confirm that we are in fact hitting a zombie. I close down our character base. Okay, let's give it a test. Okay, wait for a zombie. Hit zombie. Not hitting anything. So zombie 0, 1, should be 3, 4. So we are in fact hitting zombies and going up kind of about which ones we hit as intended. So I want to draw a debug line. So UE4, draw debug line. I cannot remember exactly what the include was for this. So let's draw debug helpers. So I'm going to go ahead and include that. I'm going to actually remove physical material include. That'll be for way down the road. So I'm going to perform a drawing of the debug second. So let's see. So it's draw debug line, get world, we have start, and F color, do red, persistent lines false, lifetime, let's do 2 seconds, depth priority 0, thickness, let's do 3, should be a decent one, and play, well, compile. So now I want to create a function on our zombie base. I don't know why I'm actually compiling just yet. I'm going to have to do it again anyways. So I want to make a public section in our zombie base. I'm going to do void hit. And I also want to take in the person that was shooting. So class A Nazi zombie character player. Let's create the definition. There we go. And in here, this is the logic that's going to be running on the server. So if as authority, we will go through and do what is necessary. So here's where we would add points to our player, for example. So let's go ahead and just set it up to call hit. So zombie hit, and we're going to pass in this, so ourselves. So now let's create a simple little point dealio, because in here we're going to dictate where was he hit. Was it the head, arms, legs, etc.? And that's how we would go about applying damage and removing health, as well as calculating how many points that player that did the hit receives. So let's create a we're just going to have a simple points variable. And here, let's do it under here. So uProperty, we edit defaults only. We're going to do 6 because it's be a pretty big value, but it should never be negative. So what is the range for a uint 16? So 65,000. What about a uint 32? Yeah, that should be plenty. That is, I miscounted. 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, 10 million, 100 million. Okay, that should, yeah, definitely be large enough. So uint 32, and this is going to be replicated. So I don't necessarily like that it's going up that big, but we do want that buffer range. So that way players who, they're going to get crazy amount of points stored up or stacked up, this will cover it. I'm just going to call it points. Simple as that. Set it in our constructor. By default, we're going to do 500. And I want to set this to replicated. I want to make a comment, set to replicate. And this is going to have to be replicated to everybody. So that way our little UI in the bottom right that shows the points will display properly. Now we need just basic add and subtract, I guess, functions because I don't want to do setters and getters. So down here under interact, let's do void increment points. Do a uint. Let's just do a uint 16 because nothing should really be going above that 65,000 mark. Let's call this one value. Then do one for decrement points. And also do value. And we're going to make it return a Boolean. So let's go ahead and create the definitions. And I'll explain why I'm doing a Boolean here in a second for the decrement points. So decrement points, please be quick. There we go. Those are right here. So for now, I'm just going to return true. Oh, actually, do. So if points minus value is less than or equal to 0, well, is less than 0, then what I want to do is return false. Otherwise, we actually go through and we'll decrement the points. So points minus equals value. Increment points is just going to be points plus equals value. So the reason we're returning a Boolean for decrement points is, let's say when we purchase a door, we go and we call our decrement points function. That is going to actually, if we cannot decrement the points, it's going to be a return false, meaning it's not going to actually do anything on that door. So that's going to be one of the main things that are getting checked, kind of like right away. So we're going to try to decrement the points. If it returns false, we're going to stop. If it returns true, we're going to continue and pretend and do whatever else we need to actually do when he quote unquote purchases the door. I don't know why I said quote unquote there, but you get the point. So we need to make these public. So I want to move them down, have them there. so that it can be called from anywhere. And under zombie base has authority, I'm going to call player, oh, has authority and player, even though it should be valid regardless. Increment points, and for now we're just going to pass in 100. Right, now we need to include our player. So our Nazi zombie character into zombie base, like so. That should fix this little issue here, which it does. Once the squiggly line goes away. And it will call increment points, which, duh, it increments our points. I'm going to print them out, so UAE log points, like so. And I'm going to do the same thing on the decrement. Right, so whenever we shoot, if we hit a zombie, we call hit, check it for the server, and that player is valid, in which case we call increment points. Increment points adds the points, and we should see our new points. So that should be good to go. This is only going to be running on the client for now, because like I said, we're not going to actually get into making our weapon system yet, but that will be here soon. Right, so let's see. 103, I'm an idiot. Return true. I could also just make it return points minus equals value. Then plus 1, I think. Screw it, doesn't matter. I just want to print the log. Okay, let's check it. So we have our line trace. So hit 600, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we keep getting a bunch of points. So that is working how we want. So now that that is out of the way, actually for testing purposes, I'm going to increment, well, set our default points to 1, let's just do 2,500. So we have our points being added. So up in the next video, we will set it up so we actually use the cost required for the door and do what I talked about in the previous video. So if we have enough points, we purchase it. If we don't, well, nothing happens. So I will see you in the next one.